Well, they did it. They finally did it. What's going on, everybody? Hope you're doing well. Today, we're going to look at Update 4.0, the patch notes just released. This is Update 0.4.0. Fixes, changes, and improvements. My God, this thing is huge. And I do mean huge. So I'm going to try and take you through everything that I possibly can that I find interesting. There may be a few things that we have to kind of pass over due to time, but for the most part, we're going to try and cover as much as possible with this update. And we'll also be going over this in our streams. I stream every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. However, since the update will go live on Tuesday, I'm going to be streaming on Tuesday as well, and that starts around 1 o'clock Eastern time. Come by, check it out. Let us know what you think. And yeah, so all right, so let's jump into it. So here's what they say. Available April 19th, this update will bring VoIP, that's the voice party chat functionality for party and squads. Changes to end of round that display the scoreboard, as well as an overhaul of weapon attachments. It also includes many further changes and bug fixes detailed in full below, such as balance adjustments to specialists, such as updated traits for Rao and Pike, and improvements to Sundance's specialty with the focus on their anti-armor grenades being more effective against targets in the immediate vicinity. Vehicle balance changes, such as making the M5C Bolt's passenger easier to target, and a reduction in power for its missile launcher. Also, the fixes for the ADS bug, that's going to be addressed in this update as well, and they're going to have improvements on ribbons. For those of you who are looking for very specific things, don't worry, I'll have timestamps down below, and you can just jump to whatever it is that you're looking for, okay? All right, here we go. First of all, VoIP, Voice over Internet Protocol, is now available in Battlefield 2042. There are 2 voice chat channels to choose from between party and squad. Settings for VoIP can be adjusted via options, sound, voice, chat while in-game. Scoreboard. In Update 3.3, we released the UI refresh for the scoreboard. Following this update, this UI refresh will now also be available during the end of round screens. General. Made several improvements to kill assists. Damage assist triggered from lower damage threshold, improving consistency and clarity. EMP grenades now trigger assists more reliable. Assist can now trigger when a teammate kills an enemy and either of them were covered in smoke you deployed. Fixed EMP effects persisting on screen. Fixed a bug equipping a weapon attachment from the item reveal menu would in some scenarios reset the full customization on that weapon back to default. Fixed a bug where players' saved customizations would sometimes reset to default after joining a server. Simplified keybinds for chat and VoIP. Switched weapons for gunner can now be properly bound in key bindings. Airplane and helicopter sensitivity settings added to the options menu. Matchmaking and social. Fixed a matchmaking error that could occur after quitting a hazard zone server. Matchmaking information is now available in the player card screen. Fixed a bug where a user encounters a matchmaking loop and gets sent back to the lobby. Disbanding a party before joining it no longer incorrectly shows the remove EA friend prompt. Progression and unlocks. Adjusted ribbons to make them easier to unlock across all modes, especially in Rush. Further adjustments to specific ribbons are logistics. Progress earned from repairing friendly vehicle has been increased, and progress earned from healing and resupplying has been reduced. Objective. Kills or assist while fighting for objectives in Breakthrough now also give progress. Intel. Progress for hitting enemy vehicles with EMPs has been doubled. Combat. Destroying an enemy ranger now rewards ribbon progress. Combat and wingman. Kills and assist on enemy players in hazard zone now give increased progress. Mastery for the MI-240 Superhind, MV-38 Condor, and MAV now gets progress as intended when teammates spawn into your vehicle. Cosmetics and weapon attachments are now correctly marked as new when unlocked. XP from support actions has been increased, while XP from objective actions has been decreased to compensate. Projectile destroyed with Irish APS 36 shoot-down sentinel from 5 to 10 XP. Enemy disrupted with EMP from 10 to 20 XP. Equipment destroyed from 5 to 10 XP. Healing from 5 to 20 XP. Resupply from 5 to 20 XP. Repairing from 5 to 20 XP. Ranger destroyed from 25 to 75 XP. Objective neutralized from 250 down to 200 XP. Objective captured from 375 down to 200 XP. Sector objective defended from 15 down to 10 XP. Added an XP event for killing a downed enemy in Hazard Zone. Repairing Ranger now correctly triggers the Repairing XP event. Hey, also, thank you so much for checking out the patch notes. This is something that we do whenever a big patch notes come because I like to read everything and get it all out to you guys. So do me a huge favor if you're enjoying this, hit the like button for me. I would greatly appreciate it. Also, come by and check out our streams. We stream every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. All right, back to the patch notes. Maps. Breakaway. Fix players or AI soldiers sometimes not spawning in the correct HQ area. Hourglass. Fixed a bug where players still receiving damage from the tornado while inside the stadium. Kaleidoscope. Sprinklers are now active for 9 seconds instead of 20 seconds. And ladies and gentlemen, sprinklers no longer deal damage. Oh, thank you. Thank you, DICE. Another good one. Sprinklers should no longer affect players outside the building. Oh, God. The freeze effect in the HUD is less intense. And then last but not least, on Kaleidoscope, fixed an issue where players could shoot through the tires of some trucks on Kaleidoscope. Orbital. Fire from the rocket explosion event is no longer invisible and will slowly dissipate. Renewal. Fixed a bug where soldiers and vehicles would be affected by the storm while inside buildings. And here are some more fixes to the overall maps. Reduce rubber banding when key events such as the rocket launch get triggered. Bollards and ramps should no longer be triggered by deployed gadgets. Toxic barrels now continue dealing area damage if another nearby barrel gets destroyed shortly after. Fixed a bug/exploit where players were able to deploy gadgets or shields that would intersect MCOMs, not allowing them to be disarmed. Fixed a bug where container doors were still presenting the interaction prompt after being destroyed. Updated destruction behavior for fences. Minor prop objects at distance now pop more slowly. Added support to traversal or objects linked to moving platforms. Enable cover occlusion for player damage from explosions. Fixed a bug where elevator doors weren't synced for players joining later during a match. Players can now sneak and open doors close to them while aimed down sights. We've resolved multiple smaller issues across all maps that could negatively impact gameplay. Fixed some areas where players could get stuck. Fixed floating items. Fixed some collision areas that cause players to fall through items/the map. Fixed areas where planes could go through terrain while out of bounds. Fixed being able to interact with some objects. Fixed some areas where players were able to see through the map. Fixed behavior on some interactable objects such as doors. And fixed clipping of objects such as vegetation. Battlefield Portal made several improvements to the Battlefield Portal browser. Name and description is now auto-filled when creating an experience. Name description field of preset experience are now empty by default. Browsing experiences remembers your previous search query. Resolved an instance where the Browse tab didn't function correctly when applying custom filters. Made adjustments to the chase camera on a number of vehicles in Battlefield Portal. Fixed an issue which could cause a game crash when players were near a Kubelwagen. Players no longer remain in a stuck trigger animation after deploying C4 and immediately jumping into a vehicle. The defibrillator can no longer be equipped while swimming. Stationary machine guns will now be destroyed alongside accompanying towers. Added new voiceover lines for destroying or capturing objectives. Added new voiceover lines for tower collapse event on Caspian Border. The tower on Caspian Border will now have improved barrage and projectile VFX before its collapse. Players can now switch back to their secondary weapon on an experience with all primary weapons disabled. The cycle primary weapon key binding now properly cycles to the secondary weapon if the player doesn't have a primary one. You should now always automatically have your last played loadout in the next round. Oh, thank goodness. Spawns on El Alamein have been moved to prevent becoming stuck after deploying in free-for-all mode. Battle of the Bulge, the screen now changes to sepia when going out of bounds near the Tank Battle Vista area. Numerous fixes for floating rocks and cliff faces in Valparaiso, Arica Harbor, El Alamein, and Caspian Border. Bad Company 2. You can now switch back to the Mortar Strike gadget while it's recharging. You can now switch out from Mortar Strike gadget using the inventory previous next bindings while it's recharging. Fixed an issue where weapon under barrel attachments would trigger on-button presses even if the weapon was not selected at the time. Rush. Updated MCOM screens when aiming, disarming progression bar, and countdown timer. Audio. Fix the wrong voiceover playing when giving attack orders as Dozer. Fixed issue where Falk's gadget voiceover would trigger when hitting enemies. The healing sound will now always play when Falk heals herself with the Surette pistol. Adjusted wingsuit audio for Sundance so they're easier to hear for enemies. Added surface scrape sounds to vehicles with tracks when rotating stationary. Improved audio across amphibious vehicles. The MD-540 Nightbird and AH-64GX Apache Warchief now have the correct audio cues when air-to-ground missiles are ready to be used. Destroying a gadget should no longer trigger vehicle-destroyed voiceover. Improved at-range audio for the recon drone. Low health sound should no longer get stuck when going into a vehicle. Added audio VFX for turning on/off the flashlight attachment. The proc sensor should no longer emanate warning sounds if no enemies are within reach. Soldiers should no longer hear the opposite ping voiceover being triggered from the third-person view. Improved audio consistency for vehicle call-ins. Improved cockpit audio experience when driving enclosed land vehicles in first person. Tweak the vaulting sound when climbing ladders. Added audio for birds on renewal. Oh, thank God. Added audio for destroying screens in the Sensica Laboratory lobby in Renewal. Improved audio for damage caused by storms. Improved audio for vehicle gear shifting. Fix an issue where rapidly pressing fire on a sniper rifle would play an audio cue as if 2 shots were fired. Improved audio for the MC5 Bolt, EBAA Wildcat, and MD540 Nightbird when they pass by players. Modes. Breakthrough. Fixed air vehicles being able to spawn at the opposite HQ at the start of the round. Rush. Fixed an issue with Rush declaring the winning team prematurely and/or incorrectly. Deploying gadgets over Rush MCOM stations should no longer prevent arming it. Conquest. Adjusted spawn locations to prevent spawning out of bounds. AI soldiers. AI soldiers will no longer appear lagging while entering a vehicle. AI soldiers can now repair combat vehicles in all-out warfare? Get out of here. Improvements to AI soldiers operating helicopters. Oh my God. Improvements to AI soldiers reviving human players. Soldier. Fix some issues where the player would be impossible to hit when entering an exposed vehicle seat. Fix an issue where dead soldiers or friendly soldiers would block bullets. Fix further instances of not being able to revive players when some of their body parts were clipping with assets or geometry. Fixed players not being able to place deployables in certain areas. Fixed an issue where the player would not be able to jump or vault after reviving someone. Fixed an issue where players would have 2 hands on a rifle while sprinting on a steep slope. Fix losing input when jumping on/off the ladders. Fix players appearing to fly after meleeing water. Well, this is some magic I didn't know we had. Fixed soldiers sometimes becoming invisible while downed. Fixed players sometimes going into down state instead of dying if killed in an out-of-bounds area. Fixed players entering a down state after crashing with an air vehicle. Fixed players sometimes entering a down state while underwater. Fixed players sometimes being thrown up in the air after getting revived. I mean, come on, we gotta leave that one in, right? Fixed an issue where redeploying your soldier could cause dropped weapons to float. Fixed an issue where it wouldn't be possible to crawl under certain obstacles while prone. Fixed an issue where the player's camera could sometimes clip through the ground or objects when prone. Fixed an issue where the soldiers could fly when dropping down from steep areas. Fixed an issue where certain camera transitions would force the player's FOV to be reset to the default FOV 55 degrees. Fixed an issue where it's possible to die when entering a vehicle right after performing a melee attack while in the air. FOV should no longer break after switching weapons on ladders. Improved traversal across moving objects. Updated animation for directional vaults. And soldiers will no longer die when swimming close to or under a water vehicle. Animations. Fixed an issue which could cause broke weapon animations while sprinting into world objects such as a wall. Fixed an issue where reload animations would play incorrectly. Fixed an issue where aborting a revive causes first-person animation to break. Resolved several corrupt eye animations. I don't know why that made me laugh, but it just did. Improve the preview animation for deployable objects. Improve left arm animation while crawling with the MCS 880. Improve left hand animation when using an under barrel attachment while sprinting. Sprinting out of water while swimming no longer puts you in a stuck sliding animation. Left hand animation should no longer break when entering and exiting vehicles. Players should no longer experience looping revive animations when down. Okay, some of these are just worded strange to me. Maybe it's just me, I don't know, but this one here says gunners should no longer sometimes clip behind vehicles while driving. Made revive animation smoother. Switching weapons in a vehicle open seat will no longer result in broken animation. Toned down weapon movement during initial ADS after deploy. Smoothed out transition animation for camera and weapon movement when switching between stand and crouch. Jumping into water while reloading will no longer cause broken or reload animation. You can no longer see through your hands while using the SWS-10 or DXR in prone position during reload. And last but not least, under animation, polished idle animation for rifles. Specialist, Angel. Fixed a bug where Angel's supply bag won't land when bouncing close to a vehicle. Fixed an instance where Angel's supply bag didn't activate correctly. Fixed some occurrences that could cause the mesh of Angel's supply bag to copy itself onto other thrown projectiles. Irish. Made all vehicle types able to smash through Irish's deployable cover. Oh, come on, man. Resolved instances where Irish's fortification system couldn't be placed on angled terrain. Fixed a bug where the Sentinel, the APS-36 shoot-down Sentinel, would not always stop targets if blocked by a soldier standing on it. Fixed an issue where players could see the APS-36 shoot-down Sentinel in an infinite loop firing at an unidentified target. Dozer. The SOB-8 ballistic shield and main weapon can no longer be equipped at the same time when bashing or entering a vehicle. Oh, I wish I would have known that. Dozer now becomes vulnerable for a short time when his ballistic shield is hit by heavy fire, such as from a tank. Dying as Dozer while holding the ballistic shield would no longer cause you to be resurrected with the shield active. Reviving Dozer with the ballistic shield active no longer makes you float upwards. Repeatedly pressing the prone and ballistic shield buttons as Dozer will no longer result in the player having the shield up while prone. Performing a takedown on Dozer with an active ballistic shield will now play the correct animation. Now here's one that just blows my mind. Who knew about this stuff? Fixed a bug where repair tools cause the ballistic shield to deflect bullets. And finally for Dozer, fixed an issue where the ballistic shield could bash through thin walls. Rao. Rao's cyber warfare suit should now feel more responsive. Resolve bugs related to using the cyber warfare suit ability without an active target. Once the cyber warfare suit ability finishes, your target is now reset. Replace Trojan network with thread perception trait. Okay, so when Rao takes damage from enemy fire, he will automatically spot the enemy for himself. That means his squad won't get spotted for anyone else but him. That's interesting. Pike. Replace threat perception with the eagle-eyed trait. Players damaged by Pike are now spotted for everyone. Ooh, now that is really interesting. Another way to spot people in Battlefield 2042. Updated Pike's mastery criteria to align with her new trait. Casper, the friendly battlefielder. The recon drone can now descend with crouch toggle buttons. The rotors on the drone are now placed correctly. The spotting sound now plays correctly while using the drone. Fixed an issue that would sometimes prevent you from flying the drone upwards if you entered it while crouching. Boris. The SG-36 sentry gun should no longer clip outside elevators. A tank running over the sentry gun will now destroy it. Sundance fixed anti-armor grenades that lock onto targets which were too far away. Anti-armor grenades now filter by angle and distance in a more accurate way and have the same priority for air and ground vehicles. Anti-armor grenades no longer swap targets when already tracking a target and have reduced maximum range once unfolded and in flight. Anti-armor grenades now have different tracking radius for ground and air vehicles. Anti-armor grenades no longer target Irish's deployable cover or APS-36 shoot-down Sentinel. Anti-armor grenades track properly if left sleeping on the ground instead of simply exploding. Improved speed when switching through Sundance's grenade belt. Scatter grenade detonation timing adjusted to let them explode quicker. Landing on rough terrain no longer causes Sundance to bounce up in the air. And last but not least, fixed a rare issue where Sundance's body could become detached from a vehicle upon entry while landing onto the vehicle from the wingsuit, causing Sundance to become invisible. Falk's Surrett pistol can now be equipped while swimming. Fixed an issue in Prologue where Falk's syringe did not spawn a pickup on the ground. Reduced the distance at which the Surrett pistol's dart is visible. McKay made it easier for McKay to grapple onto moving vehicles. Players can no longer take damage from the grappling hook while downed. Adjusted McKay's walk animation when aiming down sight. The sight should no longer misalign with where shots are fired. Resolved an issue where smoke stopped the grappling hook from working. The grappling hook crosshair should now correctly pick up objects while in range. Looking as far left-right you can while grappling while pressing aim down sights no longer allows you to slow down or speed up. Fixed a rare occurrence when entering a vehicle after using the grappling hook could cause McKay to become invisible. HUD and user interface. On the HUD, hints for reloads, low ammo, and no ammo will now blink a few seconds and then fade out. Switching weapons in this state will restart this animation. Added critical red and out of bounds gray color to world info, soldier info, and soldier compass HUD widgets. Centered soldier compass direction readout and added positioning arrow shape. Added scaling options for the minimap, team, personal log, world log, player vehicle info, chat, and vehicle passenger list. And added critical state for vehicles. Under the UI, added new options that allow players to scale the transparency for many different icons in the HUD. Friendly icons, squad member icons, enemy icons, revive icons, object icons, and ping marker icons. Each icon type can have a different transparency when zoomed or not zoomed. The option can be found under Display HUD Icons. Added a chat log visibility option to allow players to set the visibility mode of the chat log, which allowed it to be turned off on console where no key binding exists to change visibility in-game. Adjusted scaling of objective icons over distance. They now can start scaling at 50 meters instead of 100 meters and stop scaling at 500 meters instead of 1,000 meters. Solved an issue where friendly icons were too enlarged. The need healing icon is no longer visible over friendlies while playing as Angel without a medic crate. The grenade indicator no longer remains after the grenade has already exploded. The kill card should now always update after being killed by AI soldiers shortly after self-healing. SG-36 Sentinel gun and OVP recon drone are now shown/hidden depending on gadget availability. Fixed a bug where the minimap didn't update when entering an air vehicle from the ground. Fixed a problem that caused hints to disappear on initial deploy into vehicles. Made animation for the plus menu smoother. Added 24 new options to control the opacity and size of HUD icons. And last but not least, added missing always traversal sprint option under controller tab. Gadgets. Fixed an issue that prevented equipping the armor plate if you were being healed at the same time. Using the armor plate no longer causes the plate to flicker and reappear on screen after use. Fixed a bug where players were able to deploy items to clip ladders and zip lines which could block passage. Improved the positioning preview of deployments such as Boris's turret to better reflect the surface the player is trying to place it on instead of hovering in the air. Gadgets should no longer be destroyed if a door opens or closes to them. Fixed an issue where gadget resupply via the loadout crate causes the players to not be able to redeploy their chosen gadget later on during that life. EMP effect from grenades no longer extends past their visual explosion radius. Fixed an issue that allowed players to drop ammo and medic crates through thin walls. The M5 recoilless RPG Small will now one-shot Ranger if it's a direct hit. The recoilless M5 will no longer automatically reload while you are downed if you died after firing it. Fixed an issue causing empty reloads on the recoilless M5 to be interrupted when vaulting. Fixed issue where users were able to detonate C5 explosives while being hacked. Fixed an issue where both soldier anti-tank mines and bolt anti-tank mines would despawn after a short while if the player died. The repair tool now turns off when player dies. Made it easier to place insertion beacon. You'll now spawn in the same direction where the insertion beacon is facing when spawning on it. Fixed an issue that it would allow players to shoot FXM-33AA missiles while their target was in smoke. Fixed an issue while AA missile did not become enabled again until after users switched to another weapon and back again after being affected by EMP. And last but not least, under gadgets, fixed an issue where smoke grenades did not explode on moving cranes. Now on to weapon attachments. The behavior of many attachments has been overhauled to ensure that their impact when customizing your weapon is unique and noticeable. Previously, some attachments had effects that were too similar from others, and it was unclear what the impact on the weapon would be when switching between them. Here's an example of update behavior while customizing the AC-42. A. Warhawk Compensator. Update 3.3 improved horizontal recoil control, reduced vertical recoil control. Update 4.0 improved recoil control, reduced weapon accuracy. B. Rattlesnake Light Grip. Update 3.3 improved accuracy while moving, reduced accuracy while static. Update 4.0 increased hipfire accuracy, reduced accuracy while ADS. C. Maul Hybrid 1.5x to 3x. ADS speed decreased in 4.0. Zoom levels and optics toggle options preset. D. Subsonic Rounds. Base recoil reduced in 4.0, reduced muzzle flash visibility, decreased projectile velocity. Now, here are some further changes to weapon attachments. Factory and extended barrel descriptions now display the correct fire rate changes. Weapon modifiers now correctly applied when swapping attachments while the bipod is equipped. Fixed an issue that would cause the 40mm grenade attachment to hit an invisible wall when fired indoors. Fixed an issue which would grant unlimited ammo if magazine attachments were toggled in between firing the underbarrel attachment. Fixed some weapons displaying wrong ammo counts for specific magazines. Adding and removing attachments in the plus menu will now always correctly apply their static changes. Underbarrel activations such as flashlight and laser sights will no longer be reset after getting revived. Bipod attachments will no longer toggle on-off while reloading. The ADS time on the BKS 8 times now matches that of other scope attachments. Adjusted the size of the DD Hollow scope to bring it in line with other scopes. Reduce blur on the Ghost Hybrid scope. Some underbarrel attachments should no longer have a share ammo pool. The Maul Hybrid and the Ghost Hybrid now correctly display both scope zoom levels in the collection screen. The Fusion Halo attachment no longer clips through the mesh on the following weapons: AK-24, the LCMG, PP-29, and the SFAR MGL. Fixed clipping issues with the camera when the Fusion Hollow optic is equipped while ADS. Weapons. The high-power magazine for the AK-24 now shows the correct amount of bullets. Fixed an issue where players were unable to fire straight away after reloading the grenade launcher attachment on the M5A3. Updated text description on both the NTW50 and the DM7. Fixed an issue which caused the extended magazine for the PBX-45 to have a slight delay before it fires after reload. Located a missing R in the description of the PKP BP. Increased the PKP base recoil. Fixed an issue that would cause weapon lag across scopes for the M44. The missing bullet on the M44 has been located. Well, thank God. The M44 now displays the correct reload animation while prone. Fixed an issue with the M44 that caused the scope to move a lot more than intended when aiming around. Archon Tactical Muzzle Brake no longer floats when equipped on the MP9. Increase the long-range damage of the SWS-10 light ammo from 35 to 40 over 75 meters. The iron sight will no longer be visible when the Fusion Hollow is equipped to the PP29. Fix an issue with the incorrect ammo pools to be set on the PP29, which would show incorrect ammo quantities. Fix the PP29 and subsonic ammunition having inverted ammo pools. Fix an issue which would cause underbarrels on the SFAR MGL to unexpectedly run out of ammo. Recenter the iron sights on the DXR1. AC-42 bullet drop-off increased, and effective range has been lowered. Reduce scope shake when firing on the DM7 and VCAR. Fixed an issue where weapons would have inconsistent dispersion or recoil. Fixed an issue which prevented bullets from dealing the correct damage amount. Bolt-action sniper rifles now correctly play their animation after opening the plus menu and firing. Reload prompt will no longer stop flashing when there are only a few bullets left in the magazine. Reloading while ADS will no longer reset the camera zoom. Fixed an issue which would cause weapons to become invisible after climbing a ladder. Fixed an issue which could cause some players to be unable to shoot or aim down sights after exiting a vehicle. Toggle scope is now affected by soldier control schemes. Weapons in the collection screen will no longer compare to the weapon selected in deploy screen, which caused incorrect comparisons. Improve the visual quality of the crosshairs and red dot within high-powered scopes while on low-medium graphic settings. Remove some double spacing within text describing multiple weapons. Reduce scope shake when firing on the DM7 and VCAR. Fixing broken arm when doing pump action while crawling with the MCS 880. Improved weapon animation when deploying from a vehicle. Added a game hint for steady scope. Weapons should no longer slide over the floor when dropped. Made improvements to the position and drop timing for dropped weapons. And last but not least, for weapons, underbarrel shotgun crosshairs does not disappear after zooming. Melee. Animation fixes related to melee takedowns. Fix an issue where the camera was misplaced during a takedown. Fix related to target flying away when doing a takedown on a moving platform. Fix where melee hits didn't register consistently on moving targets. Fixed a bug where the players could throw a grenade and melee at the same time. Fixed a bug where player could get stuck in melee animation. Fixed a bug where doing a melee attack in a prone position could make the knife stuck until another melee was initiated. And last but not least, for the melee, fixed an issue which would cause guns to instead play a knife animation. Vehicles. As outlined in the recent core feedback, we are adjusting the number of active vehicles across maps and modes, and you'll notice the first iteration of this change within this update. As an example of how that plays out on Breakthrough 64 for Kaleidoscope, here is how we've adjusted total available vehicles in the match per sector. Sector 1, 17 down to 13. Sector 2, 18 down to 17. And Sector 3, 19 down to 17. Health for soldier and vehicles now show correct values for all seats in the vehicle. The radar will now appear correctly while redeploying on a team squad mate in the MI-240 Super Hind or MV-38 Condor. Killing someone with a tuk-tuk would sometimes show the wrong vehicle icon in the kill card. Destroying either the tuk-tuk or Polaris Sportsman in a tunnel will no longer cause floating debris to be present. Players can now ping while driving vehicles in third-person view. Fixed an issue that would cause reversing in a tank to be problematic. Fixed an issue that would allow players to skip the equipment cooldown timer while in a helicopter. Players will no longer find themselves in a floating state while exiting a fighter jet upside down. Fixed an issue which would cause vehicles to not be deployed when call-in but still shown as in play. Fixed an issue that would allow players to shoot AT missiles while their target was in smoke. Adjusted the text on vehicle zoom options in order to make it clear what the option does. Tornadoes should no longer throw a helicopter under the world, resulting in passengers ending up underwater. Fixed an issue that would sometimes affect the visibility of flares. Exiting and re-entering a tank will no longer result in a misaligned camera. Fix an issue that could allow helicopters to fly under the game world on Hourglass. Fixed an issue that would cause the AA missile to launch to skip the yellow lock-on phase, jumping straight into red. Fixed an issue that could sometimes cause helicopters to spawn on the ground. Fixed an issue that would sometimes cause players to fall through the world when deploying into a tank. Fixed an issue that would allow players to manually reload weapons on certain vehicles. Air radar should now correctly display enemies. System repair would sometimes only replenish a few health points. This has been corrected. It was possible for players to hurt themselves with some explosive vehicle weapons during the vehicle enter animation. This has been disabled. It is no longer possible to shoot yourself for a short period of time when entering a vehicle. Vehicle hints will now show up on initial deployment. Vehicle invert look settings are no longer connected to flight controls. Fixed an issue that would allow players to instant lock onto a vehicle after flares have been used. Lights on an air vehicle are now turned on when a player is in the cockpit. Fixed an issue which would occasionally see the AH-64GX Apache Warchief or the Super Hornet smart rockets ignore their target. There's sometimes when I don't know if the guys who are writing this are just messing with us. I really don't know, but I'm curious. Here's this one. A specific concrete block causing the T-28 to become stuck. The T-28 has overcome its fear and can now traverse over it. Invert vertical look is now working as expected on transport vehicles. Vehicle third-person camera no longer clips through the environment. The hints for control option now displays for all intended vehicles. Fix an issue that would cause the bridge to clip while in third-person view in a T-28 on Hourglass. Backpacks can no longer be seen sticking out of the side of the B-17 bomber. Taking a tuk-tuk into an elevator will now display the correct health. Made tweaks to various VFX, visual in a helicopter, and firing countermeasures to reduce photosensitivity risks. Vehicle spawn through deploy screen will now eventually abandon if they are left alone. Fixed an issue which would cause animation issues when going from vehicle to downstate. Helicopter lights are no longer offset from their initial position while in matchmaking countdown screen. Deploy animation will now only play once after the player has switched seats multiple times in a row within vehicles. Tanks should no longer get stuck in the mud while in a storm on orbital. Weathering effects are now applied more consistently to vehicles. The soldier's physical representation now better matches the actual animation poses when in a tuk-tuk or a portable RHIB. Added a free look third-person view crosshair to vehicles. Vehicle HUD while in first-person view now turns red when in a critical health state. Vehicles now show both soldier and vehicle health for all seats occupied by the player. Updated the transport look behind option to reset camera view. Tweaked camera pitch while in first-person view within a helicopter to better reflect the direction of travel and increased visibility. Fixed spawning of vehicles in elevators. Vehicles should no longer incorrectly be slowed down when driving over certain platforms like bridges. Here's one specific for the Apache Warchief. The wing camera when firing rockets on the Apache Warchief is now more accurately aligned, and the HUD will be more visible when performing a nosedive. Wildcat. Fixed text description on the EBAA Wildcat to more accurately reflect its weaponry. Fixed text description on the Wildcat and T-28 smoke launcher. The Wildcat can now climb hills with a bit more ease. Increase the handbrake strength on the Wildcat. Okay. While on orbital, the Wildcat used to have trouble driving over low to average height rocks. This no longer occurs. The F-35E Panther. The Panther will now take the intended damage when hitting specific buildings on Hourglass. Increased ejection force when at low speeds in the F-35 Panther. Added an ejector seat for the F-35 Panther when in hover mode. And the afterburner visual effects is no longer visible through the engine's swivel nozzle. The KA-520 Super Hokum made tweaks to the Super Hokum to better align its bullets to the crosshairs. And now correctly displays equipment attached on its 3D model. The LATV4 Recon. While entering an LTVA4 Recon after sprinting, player will now find themselves in the correct seat. Fixed an issue that would cause the LATV4 to sometimes fall through the floor on Hourglass. Better position the hitbox for the gunner's head and shoulders when in a LATV4 Recon. Player is no longer pushed out of bounds if revived under the LATV4, and the LATV4 Recon will no longer get stuck on a problematic rock on discarded. Hovercraft. Fixed an issue that would cause the hovercraft to become stuck on an environment on breakaway. Hovercraft collision around point G1 on Kaleidoscope have been fixed. Hovercraft can no longer fly after hitting a ramp at high speeds. Tweak boost on the hovercraft to avoid it going up vertical walls. Swimming close to a hovercraft that is on water will no longer result in death. The M5C Bolt. Players are now able to shoot passengers out within a bolt more easily. Fixed an issue that would cause the bolt to fall through the world on orbital after clipping tree trunks. Fixed an issue that would cause the camera to break when revived from underneath an LATV4 Recon. Fixed an issue that would prevent the bolt from being visible after a call-in is requested. Fixed an issue where the animation of the bolt main gun could become stuck in a firing animation. The MC5 bolt missile launcher has been adjusted and now also damages tanks. Time to live from 10 down to 3.2. Engine strength 175 down to 70. Damage 75 down to 45. MAV. Fixed an issue that caused the 40mm volley pod crosshairs to not show up in the MAV, and improved text description on the MAV. The MD540 Nightbird. Switching seats in the Nightbird would sometimes alter the FOV. It should no longer do this. It's now possible to shoot the pilot out of a Nightbird through the upper part of the cockpit's glass. MV38 Condor. The Condor should no longer spin out of control when it gets destroyed. Fixed text animation on the MV38 Condor to more accurately reflect its weaponry. Fixed an issue where the camera position could sometimes become stuck after exiting the MV38 Condor. 50mm cannon pod has been tweaked against other vehicles. And last but not least, the T-28 and M1A5 tanks. Heat shells. Impact damage increased by 90 to 115, and replenish time per shell increased from 6 seconds to 6.8 seconds. All right, well, that is it. That is a lot to cover in today's patch notes. If you want to have a look at the patch notes, I've left a link to the patch notes in the description down below. You're welcome to go through all that. Well, as of right now, there is no size for this patch, so I have no clue how big it's going to be for consoles or for PC. So here's what I'm going to do. As soon as I find out, I'm going to post it on the comments and pin it at the top. So just go check the comments. It'll give you an idea of how big this patch is going to be, or you'll find out for yourself when you start to download. All right, we'll be live tomorrow, Tuesday, April 19th, when this patch goes live. So if you want to see how things are going or what it looks like, come by, say hi. If you want to talk some shop, you want to shoot the breeze, ask me some questions about the patch, please do. I'd love to see you. So do me a favor, hit that like button, would you, if you like the video. Go check out some of our other content, and if you like any of that, hey, hit the subscribe button. All right, well, that's it for me as always. Thank you so much for watching. I greatly appreciate it, and until next time, bye for now.